And welcome everybody to the January happy hour. We're very excited to have you here. We are going to give everybody a few minutes to just let the flow come in. A lot of people still joining us. Yanni, will you do the admitting, please, sir?
Of course.
Thank you, sir.
Just a heads up, there are a lot of power outages in my area. If I just lose me for a sec, I'll be back from my phone.
All right. We will cover for you in the short term if that happens. But welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us for this January 9th. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2025. Happy Faction 9. This is the year of Faction 9. And I know everybody wants to know what it is. And I know that a lot of people have been guessing. And we've been enjoying greatly the memes and the conversations and all the fun that you're having, that we're having as well with it. So we couldn't be more thrilled to present what we're about to present to you. I have been private messaged many times going, how the beep, because I'm from New England, a Bostonian, they know to swear at me. How have you kept this a secret? How has the Parabellum team not slipped? How is it possible that it isn't what we thought it was going to be? How did nobody spill the beans? And I am immensely proud of this team, including our smiling founder, who managed to not, despite his best desires, I guess maybe would that be his worst of desires ever? I don't know, best or worst. He wanted so badly to tell you, and I'd be like, no, you cannot say a word. And we're really excited to show you something that you weren't expecting, because for us, that is super fun. We often do tease things and try to get things out there. But in this case, I think we've done a really good job of Faction 9 secrecy. And so we're very, very excited to show you that. I know when we posted, and it is true that I do not like the look of the website with an odd number of factions there, thus the 2 question marks. You're only going to hear about Faction 9. It's the only thing we have planned. There is a bit of OCD that I have, that I don't like the way things look when they're not even. So, even my Zoom screen, I can't see you all. I'm welcome here, but I have just the right number of boxes to keep it looking just so I can keep things moving along. So I do want you to know that this is a Faction 9 reveal. Don't worry about anything else. That's what we're talking about. We're going to show you quite a few things. We are letting people in still, so that is why I am stalling a little bit. I don't know if anybody has a joke they want to tell or anything because the people are coming in pretty quickly, so I do want to give everybody a chance to get in before we...
I do have a confession to make. I almost slipped once.
Oh, you did?
It did happen, yeah. I was having an internal playtesting meeting, and then there was a point where I wanted to show all of our documents were like cool thing 1 and cool thing 2, and at some point, just before I do a screen share, I realized that all the names are in the comments, so I just didn't press the button just for a second, and I just caught myself in the last minute. So that was my memory.
We have to give credit though to our vanguards, who were very, very consistent in asking us at random times, at random conversations, asking which is Faction 9, to wait for that slip of the tongue from us, to get it out and spill the beans there. They really tried.
Oh, they definitely. I was asked regularly, and I found myself only typing Faction 9 and never the name in the emails of anything, so that I couldn't possibly screw it up. And pretty fun.
I have a confession to make as well. So because of how we are very secretive in our naming conventions, that even the names are not allowed to be shared to anyone, I had to develop code names in our playtesting names so that we don't get confused. So I put Leo as one of the characters' name. I put Stavros as one of the characters' name. I put Briss as one of the characters' name. So we don't get confused of the naming.
Wait, what character did you put as me? Wait, you can't say it.
You can't say it. We haven't told them the character names yet, so you can't tell them.
Would you like to guess, Stavros?
We're so close, man.
Yeah, don't do it now.
Would you like me to guess, Evandra? That could go wrong.
Don't blow it.
Let
We're
me tell
almost
you,
there.
Stavros in playtesting is very powerful.
I accept this.
I
When
told
we
my wife.
introduce the
that's
guy's
as
name
far
to
as it
reveal
goes.
them. Yeah, we'll let you know when we get to that. When we reveal the character that is Stavro, we'll let you know. So I think we've got well over 100 people already in. Yanni, you're going to be letting everybody in, right?
Yes, so far, nothing from Google Meets.
You should
Are
be getting
we-
a ton of them. I've been letting them in because I haven't seen you doing it.
Oh,
so
okay.
make sure that you're on top of it because I'm about to start and I'm not going to be able to anymore.
Okay, sure.
So again, a formal welcome to everyone. We do welcome everybody who is following the live stream on Twitch as well. Joey will be faithfully asking questions through chat, but if you do want to ask questions in voice, do feel free to join us over here on the Google Meet where you can ask questions in voice. But if you'd like just typing questions, do feel free to join us on the Twitch stream and follow along. Hello, McGuire Uccello from Massachusetts. I too am joining you from Massachusetts. So shout out to all the mass holes available on this feed. We're very excited to have everyone here. We're ready to go, I think, to start sharing. And I think, I can't remember who it was now that said, why don't you use PowerPoint? And I'm like, God, I use PowerPoint for everything. But for this one, because we are doing more presentation and less of a back and forth. Oh, John, it was you. Thank you. You'll be happy to know, John, you're getting a PowerPoint. I hope you get a royalty on this one, buddy. All right, so I don't spill the beans. I want this. We are going to show you a few things first.
As you know, torture. We like
Torture, exactly. There we go. I needed it to show up on my screen. So we're going to start out with something you are probably already familiar with. All right. So now we are ready to go. You can still see the screen anyway, so I'm glad about that. And I'll make it a little larger for everybody. So we have the 100 Kingdoms new release coming up. This is the month for the 100 Kingdoms releases. I want to point out on our new one-player starters, and this will be true for the upcoming one-player starters for the other factions as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you will see that there's new stuff added to it as well. All of our starters will be complementary to the 5th anniversary starters, and they will include new two-dimensional terrain pieces, dice, measuring tools, new quick start guides, and a new welcome guide for each of the units. So the prior 100 Kingdoms set was more of a cavalry set, and of course that last slide showed you what the new set looks like. Last happy hour, we showed you the Archangel to a lot of oohs and ahs, but we did not have painted the alternate heads and shields, so we wanted to give you a view of the Archangel in its alternate form, as well as show you the height, because I think it's one of the nice things is to be able for you to get a true understanding of just what we're talking about here. And as you can see, relative to the new Men-at-Arms sculpture, this is a big boy. 29 centimeters tall, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, so it is the tallest figure we've gotten so far. So here's now hopefully you can see the delightful Archangel and its true height of 29 centimeters. And we're back going here. You can see it, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
It's honking, chonking, people. It's big.
I think it's going to be very well received, to say the least.
And if
So
you
here-
guys want to know why it looks the way it does, you can look at you can look up the short story Dimitri wrote. It basically explains the origins of the archangels in our spotlight. So if you want to find out more, read it. I'm going to be talking about other stuff today.
Let's try that. That's a little bigger. 100 Kingdom, Errant of the Order of the Shield. I missed the middle of the quite possibly the longest named character we have, for sure. Just like we had the biggest Archangel miniature, now we have the longest name. I mentioned on the last call, and I want to remind everybody that yes, we are giving you the card that you see there. And that card will go out to, if you bought the Errant of the Order of the Shield officer, it will go out to your direct order with your next direct order. And if you bought it from an FLGS, we are sending them to distributors and to FLGSs who bought the officers. So everybody will be able to get the card at no charge very soon. They started shipping last week with the January orders. So do look forward to that coming very soon. So now we're going to go to what's new. You've seen this in my background. You saw it about an hour ago. Welcome to our new righteous faction, the Yoroni. Faction number 9. This is a new aesthetic. We're super excited to show it to you. It's a new twist for Conquest and a new twist on the Demon Samurai aesthetic. And I don't know, Stavro, before I start showing actual things, if you want to jump in on anything here.
So, yeah, it's not Weavers. And specifically, I do want to highlight a few things. Number one, we are focusing much more on the Yaokai and Oni aspect than we are focusing on the samurai. It exists, it's there, it pervades, but we chose to keep the hardcore samurai in our back pocket because God knows, maybe we have an idea of something cool to do with it later. Second, for those of you who have been tracking the lore, I'll delve into it, and have been tracking the speculation on what the armies are. The Yoroni are the abyssal host. So the story, I'm going to go through it quickly, right? Because I'm sure all of you want to go nuts over the miniatures. The story goes as follows. When the war, when the primordial war ended and the three horsemen were chained and Conquest agreed to be shattered, there was still a lot of shards and motes of creation and destruction that had to be swept up and dealt with. The vast majority of them were imprisoned deep, deep, deep in the elemental core of balance, in the hopes that they would basically be ground, become Gerst for the mill that would basically rebirth life in the cosmos after the war. So for eons, untold, these motes of creation and destruction suffered within the elemental realms because it's inimical to their very nature. That earth, air, fire, water existence as it is inimical to them. Until they started basically becoming part of their prison. And they started abandoning the more primordial creation and primordial destruction and becoming part of it. So in effect, what you had is basically the abyssal host, the host of destruction, trapped within the very furnace of balance, slowly being ground down until they encountered a path out, a path created. As you know, there are 3 rules in Ea that dominate magic, creation, and all the primordial, which is that power corrupts, power calls power, and finally that belief is power. Each one of these ideas aligns with creation, with destruction, balance, and creation respectively. Basically a culture that grew up in an independent archipelago developed a unique philosophy, one that worshipped the elements in a very plain, austere, and simple way as fonts of enlightenment to refine one's soul and ascend. Because this belief was centered around the elements and their virtues, that belief cast a shadow, cast an echo into the elemental planes. And these trapped beings, for the first time, saw a path out. Right? And that path was literally the prayers of this ascetic island-born culture. It took them centuries to be able to take the first steps on this path. Because if enlightenment was difficult for mortals, imagine what it was for guys literally caught in an elemental hell. But in time, with discipline, with self-denial, with focus, they slowly started climbing this path, this sort of road that had been offered to them out. And the more they traveled, the more the road became defined. And the more defined the road became, the easier it was for them to rise. And the more of them that rose, the more the path got defined. And slowly the entire, let's call it, race, culture, faction started flowing up this path of enlightenment to escape their confinement. And in that flow upwards, they were abandoning parts, abandoning their more primordial, more untamed natures. So, the plan of the of the dragons, what's the word? Failed successfully. And thus the Yoroni were born. Over time, this sort of ascension up this path, which eventually became a stairs, which eventually became a tower, eventually became a pagoda, and is now what is known as the fivefold path. It is this, it's literally a pagoda so large within the bowels of the elemental domains that it's a realm unto itself, forged from the discipline of the Yoroni and the prayers of the faithful. The problem was that this could reach and scratch the heavens, as the Yoroni see the prime domain, the prime material domain, right? The domain that the rest of conquest occupies. But they couldn't get across it. It was a window. Only the very, very greatest amongst them could. He traveled. He became a myth. And he was, and then he returned to help his people ascend. All of this, by the way, is in further detail written out. Tasso, it's gone live, or it will go live right after this?
Right after.
Yeah.
Awesome. And they were basically stuck in this realm that they had created, right? And within this fivefold path, where they could catch a glimpse of heaven, but they couldn't see it. They couldn't get into it. And then the Theist Church went and did something very dangerous.
Ambitious.
Yes. And they literally, for those who don't know, when they summoned the archangels, they didn't understand. They were using principles they didn't understand from the tectons and from the city-states, right? Stolen manuscripts, and they were based on the tectons' geomantic web. You guys don't know about the tectons yet. You're slowly going to be finding out about them. And the result was that instead of communion with the higher realms, what they did is literally punched a hole straight through and dragged something forth. That something was not what they were expecting. It was not the Yoroni, but it was not what they hoped for. Now, the archangels are a byproduct of this ritual. The issue is that this created a sort of a vibration, let's call it, so I don't want to call it a tear because that implies something permanent, but imagine that it was like a fabric stretched taut, and suddenly in that movement, in that sudden spasm, the windows became doors for the Yoroni, and the first that made it through were able to stabilize it. And so right now, that's how it works. The Yoroni do not exist within a geographic region of Ea, because they are coming from the elemental domains. They're sort of intersecting with Ea. The elemental domains, if you've read the Spotlight, have multiple layers, and the higher up you get in the layers, that's the closest to the prime material plane. So if you were in the early layers of the fire domain, what you would have is a heat blasted, scorched version of the prime. And as you go deeper and deeper, it starts becoming more and more and more elemental and more primordial, right? Until you end up at the deepest levels where it's basically this roiling sea of flame, where the deepest, darkest things live. By the way, those of you who were wondering what the Rakshasa were and how they were corrupted elemental beings so deep within the elemental planes, whereas the human corruption is normally kept to the lighter planes, guess what? They're Oni who never followed the path of enlightenment, yet somehow managed to escape. I leave that somehow to be speculated upon. Where was I? I lost track now. Apologies.
What I am loving about this so much is, remember that story time email I sent you over the holidays where I said, Savro, you're going to be doing story times. You just signed up for it, brother, because everybody here is like, I love this so much.
Cool. Guys, I love it.
Yeah,
too.
you're going to be doing this on a
This
more
is my
regular
absolute
basis.
passion, more so than the cool art, more so than the awesome miniatures. It's making stories that is my passion.
I love this so much. It's so fun to see people. They are so excited for it, buddy.
Cool.
I am going to have to slow you down a little bit, though. Otherwise, we'll be here for 2.5 hours.
Okay. So, in effect, Yoroni don't appear physically in a specific location. They can appear anywhere, in particular where there is a confluence of elements. So they are particularly prone to, for example, appearing on volcanoes, right? Because you've got earth, you've got air, you've got fire. Riverbeds, by rivers, water, earth, air. Anything that has multiple elements, or even crossroads, they find it easier to cross over. And they usually create small communities. Now, I'm going to go into their revealed subfactions quickly, and then we're going to delve into the actual art. So most of the Yoroni follow the Bakufu. It's the sort of the ruling elite of the fivefold path of the Eternal Pagoda, ruled by the Demon Emperor, right? They have two paths, because once they've reached heaven, right? Once they've broken out, half of them say, I earned this through my ascetic devotion, my honor, my discipline, my commitment, and my enlightenment, and they stick to it. The other half say, I just made it to heaven. Heaven is my reward. I will live this to the fullest. So from one path, you have two different philosophies, which, while incongruous, you got to remember these guys spent eons together. So even though their paths look opposites, they still actually work together quite well. They respect each other. They come into conflict, but they respect each other. So you've got what we call the Akuma, who are all about living the bestest life that they can now that they've achieved enlightenment and reached heaven. And you've got the Bushi, who are all about following the code that got them there. So that's one subfaction. The second subfaction is the Kotodama. I'm murdering this. It's the Kotodama Gake, I think it is. I'm sorry, Japanese pronunciation is terrible. Give me one moment. I gotta rush. Koto Kototamagaku. There we go. Kototamagaku. They effectively, they're the priests and the spellcasters of the society. They're the closest you have to priests, but they're not quite. What they are about is names and naming, and identity is a precious commodity to all of the Oni because so much of it was lost in the erosion. So the Kototamagaku are all about the inscription of names over on the prime material plane to then bring forth those of their brethren who weren't big enough, strong enough, enlightened enough to make the transition. Because you might have the enlightenment but lack the power. You might have the power but lack the enlightenment. Generally, they try to avoid bringing those, let's be honest. But you're going to see their troop types are different. We're going to delve into it when the time gets there. And they're basically the priests, sorcerers, and mahojin of the Yoroni. And lastly, a faction that you will not see for a little while yet, because we're going to release as quickly as possible, but we want to release the faction as a whole later, much like we did with the theists, are the Shinobi, who are Yoroni who never truly abandoned the desire to return to destruction, to return to the void. And they see the prime as the ultimate trap, something that has to be escaped in order to reach back what they were before, beings of void, beings of destruction, being primordial beings. And so they have all of these strange philosophies, mentalities, and powers that make them not quite as friendly as the other Yoroni, but also not necessarily inimical, because they're not trying to cause damage. They are trying to escape what they consider to be a prison and a trap. Okay. Done. You want to show the miniatures, Daryl?
Beautiful. We have a bunch of hands raised. I want to make sure to get to those. And I do know, you already heard it here, that there will be story times coming. So don't worry. This will not be the last time you get story time. And I know Khan, Dimitri, Stavro are working very, very hard on some lore, pleasant surprises that are not part of this happy hour, but some things to talk about coming up in future happy hours. So
I'm not supposed to talk about them. Good to know.
We have a lot to talk about.
Pointing that out.
We have a lot to talk about here, so I figured we have to keep a few things for the future happy hours. Otherwise, people.
I'm gonna give a brief overview of their rules as well. It is gonna be very brief. Leo will answer the more specific questions.
We have that broken out in the slides, Stavros, so maybe hold that thought for a second. Wendy, Sam had his hand up first, but maybe he's finished. Maybe we answered it. Wendy, do you want to go? Wendy? Maybe she raised her hand by mistake. Adrian, you were next. Do you have a question?
Yes. So something that Stavros said intrigued me. The elemental planes. Are we talking about the sort of the same cosmological area or slash dimension that the Sorcerer Kings are exploring?
Yes.
Yes.
But what you have to be aware is that they were so deep that nobody was truly aware of where they were.
Huh.
And the strange interaction between the faith that traveled to them and their ascension through that path hid them to a certain degree. And the creation of the Eternal Pagoda, it's a realm almost within itself, within the elemental domains. But yes, at heart, they are within the elemental domains of that the Sorcerer Kings frequent. If you notice, though, there's a lot of cosmological thing that I could go into a lot of detail. But if you read the domain spotlight that we put out a little while ago, it will explain a little bit of it, and it will show how the domains can also be aspected to creation or destruction.
And just to expand a little on that, to give you some perspective about what Stavros said, like the Yoroni had eons to slowly build the pagoda and make it a separate kind of, to use more classic terms, kind of a demi-plane within all the elemental planes. Okay? or a demi-domain within all the elemental domains. The Sorcerer Kings happened a few centuries ago. That's when they first gained access to the elemental planes. So they had plenty of time to adapt and create the Eternal Pagoda, and thus avoid detection, let's say.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for answering.
My pleasure.
So you will notice that the Euroni are brute only. That is correct. There is not a single infantry model in their range. Everything is brute or monster.
Just for those that are going to see the rules in a little bit, the only thing, it's only technically classified as infantry, but it isn't.
Oh, come on. Yes.
I was about to say something.
Here.
Leo, good call.
Hold on. I can be obnoxious here. Wait, I know the buttons. I will not be defeated. I am being defeated by the buttons, aren't I?
Yes,
You
you
can't. You can't share. I think.
Yeah, you can't.
No,
share.
I'm not going to share. I'm not going to share. Oh, damn it. I am being defeated.
You'd have to send it to me after our
There we go.
happy hour a couple times
No,
ago.
no, I did it. I did what I wanted to do.
Oh, I mean, that you can do.
So,
Saying you have a question?
Yeah. Just quick cleanup for me because I'm kind of new to the world of conquest. When the Stavros said that the plane, Euronis got into the heaven, are you talking about the material plane or is the heaven
Correct.
as a different
Material.
plane?
no.
Oh,
It's
okay.
They envision the material plane as heaven, given the hell. that
Ah,
they
okay,
were-
I got it. So they're the one they're trying to get into a material plane where all the conquest is going on.
Correct.
Yeah, right. All right, gotcha.
Correct.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So what you guys are seeing on the screen is Yoroni Oyabun, one of the two generals that they can muster. The pleasant surprise is that their characters are plastic. So no big, expensive, chunky resin miniatures, unless you want them, because there's going to be a number of Artisan Series guys coming out.
There'll be some founders, I'm sure, somewhere along the way here too.
Yeah. So many good ideas that didn't make it to the final cut. As you can see, they are significantly chunkier than your average human. There was just no way to represent the Yoroni and the Yaokai, the Oni, the Kappa, the Tengu, everything, and make it interesting. Now, there's another reason why they're all the same size and why they're all brutes. But I'll follow Daryl as he goes through the slides.
Leo, you're up, buddy.
Stavro, you want to do like you said?
I'll walk through them quickly, and then Leo, you take it from there and clarify the bits that I muck up. So, at the heart of it, if you know Conquest, you know that we use command cards, right? Each regiment is represented by a command card. You put the command cards in a stack in the order that you want to draw them, and as you draw them, you activate the regiment, right? Every army does this. The Yoroni don't. Every Yoroni has a philosophy, right, which is determined by where his origin started him and how he was best influenced by the particular hell he was in. So they have what we call ideal cards. Each regiment will have an ideal, and any ideal card you draw can activate any regiment. So the Yoroni are incredibly flexible when it comes. You can literally activate whatever unit you want with whatever ideal card you want. But the real power of the Yoroni is when you coincide the ideal card with the regiment that matches that ideal. And then suddenly that ideal leads to an epiphany, which is the extra power that particular troops have. So it's an easy army to master because in the beginning you don't have to think about your sequence of activation so much. But as you start transitioning into the more traditional conquest mentality of timing your attacks and your slots, you're going to be unlocking more and more of their power as you time your attacks perfectly with the ideal cards to the principles of the units. Your warlords, your supremacy abilities, and a lot of your spells, effects, abilities, items, and masteries are going to key off your ideals, allowing you to switch them, swap them, enhance them, and generally play around with them.
Leo, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was for me it was a lot of fun. That concept, I think, when you have a faction that is just so unique in terms of where it comes from a lore perspective, I think it's really important to see how you can take all of that concept of discipline, asceticism, enlightenment, meditation, and how you can put it in a faction that is essentially a brawler faction. And so these five ideal card types, essentially, at first glance, they allow you to be quite free in terms of what activates what. But it starts becoming very interesting that when you start taking sequencing very important, and when your opponent will as well trying to dismantle it, right? You're going to notice how greatly the power of your army, how powerful, but at the same time how customizable and how tailored to your liking you can make it. I like to think of the Euroni as a faction you can play and grow with, and I really like that perspective. And it really, in a way, and that's accidental, and realizing as I'm saying it, it really ties to the actual lore of the faction in a way. So I'm very happy to see that. The ideal cards really allow for some very unique concepts and some very unique mechanics, and just super excited. And by the way, we're going to post the full rules spread at the end of the happy hour, so you don't have to squint too hard to read everything and read through the whole thing. You'll be able to get the full rules by the end of this. But yeah. Now, when it comes to disciplines, essentially is somewhere in between items and masteries of other factions. It's more of things that these characters have mastered, or they have taught others how to master. Unlike your regular items and masteries, these disciplines have to be unlocked. So, for example, if you want to take a Ka force discipline, you must include a Ka character to unlock it. Now, from that point on, that discipline can be equipped and purchased by any character, right? No matter the type. But for every one of a specific type, you need to have at least one of the character of that type, which makes for some very it's a Ka character. Yeah, that's a very good one.
Oh dear God, there's another one.
The Ka character. That was a great pun. The same thing you're gonna see with this the spells. The spells are not they're not damage spells. They are combo enablers, right? They are about that working together. That sort of that important, let's say, comboing of one ability to the other to build to these more powerful abilities as well. And so you're going to notice that we have 5 different ideal card types, and for that you're going to see you have 3 disciplines of every type.
Liam, you have a question? Liam? All right. I guess Liam raised his hand by mistake.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just trying to unmute myself.
Oh, okay.
I just heard about the part about you have to have for example, the Ka character to be able to take those Ka units. Is that more for the Last Argument of Kings, or does that also transfer over to First Blood as well?
Oh no! So you need to have a Ka character to get Ka discipline. When it comes to regiments, we're going to talk about a very interesting new mechanic. So I think that's a different conversation that I'm looking. That's a great segue. If that is the next slide, that's an amazing question. By the way,
It is. There is one slide in between, but we are going to do a First Blood take on this too. So do not worry. First Blood is coming in the presentation as well, and you, Roni, are definitely part of First Blood.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
So, Stavro, do you want to kick modular regiments off from a lore perspective, or would you like me to?
So as we mentioned before, Yoroni are very spent eons together, and are, despite being very different, very comfortable around each other. And one of the ways that this is manifested on the table is their ability to fight pretty much seamlessly together, despite the different manifestation of their particular path to enlightenment. So this means that a unit can be composed of multiple different types of Yoroni. So you can have an Oni, a Kappa, a Demonling Horde, and a Tengu within the unit, each giving their their stance characteristics to the units. You will notice that they all have the same defensive stats, so that makes tracking wounds and that much easier, so as not to create the nightmares that we all know. But the nature of the regiment is determined by the leader. So in other words, even though the unit is mixed, the leader, right, the regiment that you pick to create the unit around, he is determined at army list building time, and he determines what card you put in and what epiphany he can have if he matches that card.
Yeah, I think modular regiments was a great opportunity to show a little bit that even though all these different paths that the Yoroni were taking, I think being able to work together and just an ascent in that way. And so Liam's question was great, because when it comes to unlocking regiments, well, every character has access to a modular regiment, regardless of what sort of type that regiment will be. When you're building a modular regiment, like Stavros said, you're choosing a character stand, and then you're able to choose the rest of how your stand makeup, as long as more than half the stands are the same as the leader. Essentially, that's it. The leader will give you, of course, their own special rules and abilities as a model themselves, but they will also give you a command special rule, which essentially will specialize that regiment into a role. And then, of course, we'll also determine things like its class, and think of, let's say, what kind of ideal card type you will be adding to your command stand, to your command deck. The really cool thing is, like we said before, when you take a card of the same type and you activate a regiment of that type, so a Ka card activating a Ka regiment, you gain the Ka benefits. Great. But when you have a character in there as well, even if that character is of a different type, when you use let's say a cheat card to activate a cheat character, that character gives the chi bonuses to the regiment as well, regardless of the regiment's types. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't worry. There are no entourage activations in this army. But what it does is that this sort of modularity and this sort of, let's say, mix and matching allows you to have an incredibly vibrant, colorful, unique army, and allows you so many different gameplay styles with the same models. What's best is that the minimum regiment size for modular regiment is 2 stands, which means, that's becomes very, very convenient, because when for example, you have 2 boxes of something, you can make 3 regiments of 2. Of course, we're going to help you out with the cards and everything, but this is an army all about customization, flexibility, and helping you play the style that you want to play and reflects what you like. There's always a reason to play with all of your different stands, because every regiment will give you cool abilities, regardless of whether it's just a troop or whether it's a command stand in the regiment. And no, Scott, they don't break with they automatically they get a free additional rally once the first time that they break.
Keep going, Leo. Keep going.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just should I?
I just switched on you.
Sorry that I was answering some questions. Sorry that
No,
I
no
cut you
worries.
off. So here we see an example of there are 6 in total, different stands that make up the modular regimen. Now you're going to notice, let's say that the Oni Akuma, right? We have their impressive stats. Like Stavros says, the reason you're going to see similar resolve, defense, and evasion values is from a game system perspective, let's say. But then when you have, let's say, a regiment like the Kami Akuma, Chi, resistance, they embody the physical, your ability to take physical pain and endure it, you're going to see that it adds defense and evasion to the regiment. So it gives it a more defensive role, as opposed to, let's say, the Oni Akuma, where it adds attack characteristic to everybody in the stand and gives you the Juggernaut special role. And then, of course, we have the Tengu Bushi, which are duelist, fast flying. We have a ranged version of the Tengu called the Tengu Akuma, right, which is your ranged support stand. We have the Kappa Bushi, from a more of a water, let's say, mutable sort of nature, that they can allow the regiment to be activated and gain the effects of any concept card. And finally, we have in the rules, you're going to find the Origami Warriors, more of like Void, these beautiful models that are there to fill out your regiments and bring their own little mystical abilities in there.
So the Origami Warriors are, there's the Kitsune. So the Origami Warriors are the troops created by the Koto Dama. Oh my God, I should have picked an easier name. Daryl's going to be nodding sagely in the background. And they are basically large sheets of paper inscribed with the names of minor Oni who all work together to sort of animate this piece of paper.
There will be pronunciation time as well as a separate happy hour.
It will be led by Evan.
I love
Dustin, hang on, Dustin. Just hold that thought a moment, buddy. Love that.
Kitsune is just an awesome sculpt and an awesome model. And I think you can see a little bit if you see at the warband selection. Essentially, it's not as limited as you see, because modular regiment is really the staple of the faction. Modular regiment just means that everything goes. You can mix and match these 6 different stances to your heart's desire. You can have whichever one of those types being your leader. Is just a way of building, a very freeing way of let's say, creating an army list, but at the same time, working really well and having you make some really meaningful decisions. So I was just very excited to share. And the last one of these are, I included them in the presentation because apart from everything else, we also have the opportunity to have some really unique mechanics and some really unique and fresh takes on monsters. We were looking at where monsters are when it comes to the overall meta. We were looking, how can we re-engage with monsters without, adding more attacks or more wounds. And the Dai Bakemono and the Yasei no Bakemono, just the 2 different, let's say, versions of two sides of the same coin, is just personally a design that I'm very excited about. So the Dai Bakemono has this, let's say, unsheathing of the sword, and like as a master swordsman, it's slicing through an enemy unit just to find itself on the other side. Of course, this is a new type of action where, by performing this one action, essentially it's a 2 action pretty much. It's like more of a powerful ability that you can use it, and that's your activation. But it opens up some very, very, very interesting gameplay opportunities and new tactics to explore. As opposed to the Yasei no Bakemono that revels in playing in army lists that makes great use of all of the different types. like the other types where you activate them with an ideal card and they gain a bonus until the end of the round. That's not Yasei no Bakemono. Actually, what it does, that every time you activate it with a different card, it keeps those abilities and it keeps getting more feral and stronger and angry and matter. It's just ready to destroy everything in its path. Just a very cool concept.
And you have to wait to see the picture. So here's a quick glance. We're going to see more, don't worry. And Evan's going to take us through a little bit of the First Blood mechanic here.
Hi, this is Van speaking for First Blood. So the way we look at Yoroni and First Blood is that, again, we're still maintaining the concept of these ideal cards that embodies what is essentially the core of Yoroni, these 5 things: Ka, Chi, Kaze, Sui, and Ku, except we're putting them in a little bit in a sort of a different twist into it when we get down to the characters. But essentially, we'll be using these ideal cards instead of command cards, and you can be used to activate any regiments. And of course, if you match the ideal with the battlefield role, you gain an extra bonus. So there will be an additional information in each of the regiment that will notify what the battlefield role is. Now, the cool thing about First Blood in terms of Yoroni is that we try to sort of, I would say, make the characters the spotlight of the army, because they are the ones who's going to embody a lot of these idealism, and these idealism will shine through, which resonates with everyone who has the same ideals. So if you look at the sample of the characters that we have on the next slide there.
All right, hold on, coming right up. Come on. There it is.
So if you look at the daimyo right here, it has the battlefield role of Ka, and it has a special ability called the Satsu, which gives all regiments with a battlefield role of Ka with a special ability. So a lot of the focus for First Blood characters in Yoroni is characters embodying these ideals, these abilities that will shine through in the army. So obviously you can make an entire warband full of Ka to take advantage of the daimyo's ability to buff all the Ka characters, or you can have a more flexibility in your army by putting a lot of different types of regiments. Of course, with the way that the ideal card works, you can activate any regiment that gives you that kind of flexibility, but you can also make them a little bit mono in terms of their ability. So we're giving a lot of options for players to build and mix around each army. Each character will give a different things. Each character can amplify and accentuate certain types of playstyles, and we're leaving it to the players to sort of unlock all these potentials of the demon samurais as much as you like to see fit. And one last thing that we're going to show is the First Blood Yoroni for both the Oni Akuma and the Kami Akuma. So as you can see, one is geared towards Ka, which means that they're more attuned with the offensive style, and the other one is for more Chi, which is to be more defensive. So as you can see, they themselves are very, very powerful already. They have very good stats. They have elite level stats, which abilities that puts them high above, whatever other brutes that you're seeing them. With the characters that amplifies certain types of these abilities, though, it makes First Blood for Yoroni, even though that you're playing with maybe half of what the models that you get when playing with other types of warbands, but we will give you the tools and ability to experiment with all these army list and regiment building, so you can have a more very fun experience with these Yoronis and make your experience in finding these out in a very interesting manner. So go ahead, experiment, look at them, etc. And we'll see how it goes. And for our playtesters who are in this, they're laughing at the key name, the key names that I was giving to each of the names. So I will later tell Stavros which one is Stavros.
So the Yoroni are coming, and this is going to be the first launch. The limited edition Kitsune. Dustin, here you go, buddy. This is going to be a preview piece, only offered for 2 months, February and March. Jordan already has a question. I love that about you, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, not so much a question. I'm supposed to get married this year, so how could you do this to me?
You're
How
supposed to
could
get
you-
what?
I'm supposed to get married this year. How could you do this to me? But no, this
I
model.
think we know what's gonna. I think we know what you need to register for.
Yeah, that joke has actually been made when you guys posted that like preview, like kind of silhouette. I was like, oh no. But no, this model looks incredible. I think this is gonna be this will be seen in competitions like 100%.
We're very excited about it. We've tried to make it very accessible. This is an artisan series, but not a founders, but it is a founders quality, so that it will be, available for 2 months. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, sign up for it. We're pretty excited to show it to you. The second thing we're going to show you is, and we're going to show you most of what we have ready to show, but here you're going to see how in March, the way it's going to launch. 2-player starter set, Wadroon versus Euroni. Brutes versus Beasts. What do you think? I like all the hearts. Love that. Right there on the middle, buddy Kang. $199.99. It is true what you guys have always told me. Gamers really don't read, do you? So we're very, very pleased to give you incredible value as you look at, a Ronin versus Raptor program. This is over $200 in savings, team. Seriously, it is a $400 value for $200 or euros, and you're getting 2 sets of dice. You're getting 2 wooden measuring sticks. You're getting 2 quick start guides. You're getting how many, Evan? 2. Oh, he's on mute. Sorry. 2 maps. 2 sets of terrain. And guess what? I think I already said that. No, I did say that already. You're going to get 2 sets of assembly guides, 2 sets of bases and cards, 2, all for the low price of $200, essentially, right? So you're going to save $200. You're going to, I've seen a lot of the chat, and people are super excited about this set, and we're going to show you more. Don't worry, this is not the end. This is just the middle, if you will, of what we've got coming up, because we actually have stuff for other factions here too. Shocking, I know, but I think this one deserves a little love on its own. We wanted to bring something really special for 2025, and when we looked at the Euroni, we felt confident that they would be popular and a nice surprise. But we also know that many of you are going to want to get a friend into Conquest. This is going to be the year where the friends and family program comes into play, and people are being dragged in. And we didn't want them to be dragged in kicking and screaming. We wanted them to be dragged in with, which one do you want to be, right? And have it be a really hard choice. And I think this is a really hard choice. How do you pick? How do you pick? The samurai or the sauropods?
You just get the whole thing. You don't pick.
Or you keep the whole thing, and then you get your friend to pick the whole thing, and then you each have 2 factions to play against. So, yeah, I think we feel very, very strong about what we've got coming up. We're going to be showing in a minute. Let me just bring it back up on the screen because it's a separate slideshow. We're going to take you through the catalog of what we have coming up January through May of 2025. Some of which I know you've seen, some of which we showed the last time around, but we still want to show you everything we can and bring you the best and the brightest of what we have. And I think, we're working really hard, as you probably saw with the 100 Kingdom set, to bring value to the gameplay, but also some innovation. Do the Euroni have a light unit, Leo?
Yeah, they do have light options. They have demonlings, little mischievous
Shikigami.
Shikigami. And there are other options as well. There are other options for you to deploy things during the early stages of the game. Yes.
The Damaru Jinsei are a light option as well, which is probably the easiest one to say.
So January releases, again, we went through them at the beginning, so I'm going to go pretty quickly through these because I know you want to see the other stuff. But, we do have a kick-ass January, if I do say so myself. So I don't want to just roll right through. The 100 Kingdoms have had not only a beautiful refresh in terms of the men-at-arms and some of the new Sakari and the Archangel with a monster and Leo, in addition to the happy hour, post-happy hour, I should say, companion app update and rules update. Yes, all the 100 Kingdoms are coming there too. So we talked about a lot of the updates on the last happy hour. All that goodness is going to show up in the mere hour-ish or so. Sam, Samuel, I should say, you have a question. Samuel? Oh, you just asked the question by chat. You don't have to raise your hand to question in the chat. I have a question about the command cards. I already have the Shield official, but I need... Oh, the officer, the Aaron of the Shield. That was in the very beginning of the presentation. If you ordered it directly, the Aaron of the Officer of the Shield will be available to you. The card will come to you on your next order. And if you ordered it from your local gaming store, we will be sending it to the local gaming stores, either through their distributor or directly, depending on how it was ordered. But you will be able to get a free card. Do not worry. The Sakari, you've seen that as well, but I think they bear another viewing because they really are stunning models too. It's one of those embarrassment of riches scenarios as the sales and marketing guy where we have so many great visuals to show you as we kick off this new year. And there's your redesigned Men-at-Arms. We've shown you them a couple times as the size matters comparison piece, and their dual kit brethren, the Crusaders. And now we get to the Aroni, and you've seen some of this already, including this lovely model, the Kitsune. She is a beauty. And I think it bears repeating because things get lost sometimes in translation. But again, this is the limited edition preview. So this is only going to be available for February and March. You definitely want to plan ahead accordingly.
She'll be able to be played as either, we like all of these to be playable, so she'll be playable as either the Onmyoji or the Bakasu. So either as the trickster or the spellcaster.
Here's the Daimyo. No, a different pose. And the Oyabun, which you saw once before as well. But again, remember, all brutes, these are around 8 centimeters high. Here is the Kitsune Onmyoji. I will get it, Evan. We did a little tutorial before, so we weren't all tripping over all of the pronunciations, but I'm still going to manage to. And the Bakasu. And as you can see here, these are dual kits as well. So you'll be able to make either from either kit. Here are the Damaru Jinsei. This is going to be an exciting piece coming in, I think it's May, if I remember off the top of my head.
Those are my favorite.
I think those ones are April, Daryl.
Are they April? I'm not looking at. I can't look at the order form, the chat, and the catalog at the same time. So, thank you, Reese.
Yeah, this is one of those units that the execution completely exceeded the original concept.
And how will they be to assemble, Stavro?
Hellish.
How many hands?
There's no hiding that, Daryl. There is no hiding that. Sorry, guys, but something this pretty comes at a price. We'll do our best.
How many friends need to come over while they're being assembled to hold?
None. They'll distract you. You need silence. Focus. What was it? I am a man of focus, commitment, and sheer will. That's kind of what you'll need here. But, dear mother of God, they're sexy.
Yeah, they really did come out gorgeous. Here are the Kami Akuma. You've seen these ones before as well. But they bear being seen again because they are just fantastically enormous.
Mustachios! Belly mustachios.
And the Kapabushi, again, just really, I think, impressive sculpts that you guys put together, Stavro.
The only
I
thing
mean, just
sad is that the helmets hide their little bull heads. Because all Kappa have this little dimple on their head that has water, fresh water, and if it ever spills out, they die. So when you're going into battle, you don't want that water spilling, so they have helmets. You will find cucumbers hidden around the designs.
And most of us saw, I mean, some of us are seeing this still for the first time, and most of these were seen yesterday for the first time in their glory. So all of us were like, wow, this group you've seen as well, but again, these dudes spent some time at the gym.
Yeah. The idea here was to convey the raw power, the overwhelming. And if you look at them, there's actually quite a bit of traditional Mecha and Gundam design in the shape of their torso and bodies.
And then the Tengu dual kit, the Bushi and the Akuma can be made out of either box.
Yep. Again, when execution exceeds intent.
I love the one Tengu with his musical instrument on his back. I forget what those ones are called.
You will notice that all of the Yoroni have musical instruments somewhere. Music or
Shamisen.
poetry.
Thank Joey.
Welcome.
I love the one with the white hats.
Oh, so that is what we have to show you on the Ironi for this happy hour. Yes, monsters will be the next one. We have more stuff to show. We have a lore campaign planned for June, and for everyone's benefit, that is also going to be the Wadrun against the Ironi as a campaign, so that as you've now built up your 2-player starter and you're getting into flow, you will have a campaign right behind it to go and start play in a very specific way. Kang, you have a question.
Yeah, I have a question for Stavro, specifically about that campaign. Now that I've heard that, is this going to play a lot on the interaction between the elements that are intertwined with the cults and the Ironi's elemental inclinations?
No, because there's another story that is going to interact with that, with another elemental race.
Thank you.
No, this is just going to be a straight up land grab with a lot of consequences because it comes at a very bad time.
Oh, okay. Thank you for answering, Stavro.
Liam.
Again, I was just wondering, with the 2-player starter set, roughly sort of how many points is it either side? Obviously for army building and things.
I don't think we've done it for the Ironi yet, so I think it would be hard to answer that. The Wadrun, do you know it, Leo, off the top of your head?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
How many points is each
How
list?
many
I think
points is
average
each side of
level
the
around
2-player?
800.
Oh, they're about 750, more closer to
On the 2-player?
no, sorry, for each side, not altogether.
No, total, right? The 2-player is probably around 350 to 4 of each.
No, they're about 7 each.
750 and 750.
Yeah.
Oh, 750 each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely, thank you.
Brodislav, you were next. Joey?
Yeah, I wanted to verbally convey a question from Twitch because it's awesome and I loved Stavros's explanation. Hey Stavros, where did these guys come from? As far as where do they appear in the world?
So as we mentioned before, they come from the elemental realm, so they can pop out all over the map. Little villages and little hidey holes of them and little strongholds that are slowly going to grow are appearing all over Ea. Because they come from basically a parallel domain, and their tower basically lets them come out wherever there is a confluence of elements. So, volcano peaks, riverbeds, deep forests, glades, anything like that makes it easier for them to step from the eternal pagoda into the prime domain.
No one is safe.
Nobody is safe nowhere. It's actually, guys, a really big challenge when designing the world and the factions in getting them to interact. Like, why are these guys from all the way over here interacting with these guys from all the way over there? A lot of thought has gone into this and future factions as to why precisely there's ass kicking for goodness.
Rodislav, you had a question. I may have answered it in chat, but in case I didn't, go ahead and please ask. Rodislav? Okay. Adrian, you have a question?
So like lore-wise, from the point of view of your 100 Kingdoms or city-states, are the Yoroni a faction that can be reasoned with? Or are they like basically just hostile?
No. The Yoroni are dreamlike and strange and alien. Imagine how the first Europeans felt when they came across Japanese culture and said, what the? It's something similar, but combine that. I don't know if you remember that scene from The Lord of the Rings where they're walking in the woods and they catch the first sight of the elves. They hear the music. They see these shapes moving in the woods, right? Combine those two feelings, these strange, otherworldly things that you don't understand. You can interact with them, but because you don't understand and they are so absolute and rigid or absolute and self-involved, that lack of understanding can become violent very quickly, but it can just as easily become come around the fire, let's exchange stories, or, I'll help you with whatever your problem is, traveler, or, off with your head.
Huh.
They are, because, again, these bits will be expanded on further because enlightenment is a very personal thing for these guys. It's a very personal path. They're utterly mercurial. For them, it makes perfect sense, and it's a further step on their path. For you, it's, again, the whole idea was to channel that. I was reading a lot of manuscripts from when traders, particularly Dutch and Portuguese traders, first encountered Japan. And there was this fantastic story where it's like a trader describing a meeting between two samurai, and he's like, they sat down for tea, everything was fine, and then one of them suddenly drew his head and lopped the other guy's head off. No warning, no nothing. What the hell? And the idea is to convey this sense of wonder and mystique and mystery to them. They're dangerous, but they're mercurial. They're not evil. They're not, I would not put them as inimical as the Old Dominion.
Okay. Thank you for answering. This is going to be a fun faction to play around with the roleplay game when that one comes out.
I know.
Tabletop Eiffel, you have a question.
Okay, can you hear me? Now.
Yes.
I saw we got now Vanguard, and behind that is a rule question. Sorry, as always. We got Vanguard, and behind that was a number. It's 3. It means 3 inches, I think. When we can expect that rule drop comes for the rework of the Vanguard special rules and the consortium of changes we get?
Excellent question. So yeah, there are more changes, there are more updates and more cool things to come. Of course, the Euroni and the new exciting 100 Kingdoms stuff are the coolest. Right at the end of this happy hour, you're going to get the 100 Kingdoms and the Euroni for you to be able to see, strategize, read through. And then on Monday, we're going to drop the new rules for Vanguard. A lot of quality of life updates for TLAK, for example. Not changes, but timing to all of supremacies and all masteries in the game. So the same way you have it, let's say you're going to be seeing that something is only active battlefield, always active or activated. So no longer having to ask or wonder whether something is always active or not. We're going to see all of the cool first blood changes we talked about last happy hour. So you can see that there. Now, if to answer your question right now, Vanguard X simply means X is that instead of getting an entirely one additional march, essentially, you add X amount of inches to the move, and some may be getting more than others.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Sang?
Yeah, a question about the sub-factions for the Euronis. We heard that there were 3 of them. One of them were elite ones that I didn't catch the name of them. We have Kotomadaku, who are like a priest types, who wants to bring the lesser Euroni back to the heaven. And we have Shinobis, who wants to go back. So what was the first elite one's names? Did we catch
that was the Bakufu.
The Fuku?
Right. Bafuku or Bakufu. Fuck. I mean, sorry, I did not use that word.
All right. So my second question was that before we skip the Euronis, are they gonna have some type of officer type models as well? Because I don't recall any brute type officers before, but the way they seem to look like, it would be fun to play with officers to add more flavors to them.
We currently don't have any plans to add officers due to basically the difficulty of resin, especially with larger models. You would end up paying as much as a regiment for an officer, which is unfair.
All right.
So that's the bit where we struggle, particularly with brute officers.
All right. Thank you for answering.
Sure. Samuel, do you have a question?
But there's going to be a lot of artisan series representing different types of daimyos, who hopefully in time will also develop to be warlords of different elements as well.
Samuel, do you have a question? Samuel? Okay, Artem, do you have a question? Artem? All right, going once. Yeah, raise your hand if you want to ask a question verbally. So I'm going to keep going through the catalog then for a little bit. So here, coming in February, will be the Sorcerer King's Founders exclusive Bound to the Elements. This will be using the lucky number 7 in the culture, a numbered edition of 777 pieces that will be the price of $77.77. Because why not? This is a numbered edition, Founders exclusive. It will only be available this one time. Stavro, roughly what size is it comparatively? I think you said it was is close to the Spires Twisted, right?
Yes. So this is, as you can see, it's a representation of the Bound to the Elements mastery. So it is a mastery that Maharaja, Sorceress, or Raj can take, which allows them to join brute units. And the idea is they're ascending beyond mortalhood into something that is more. So that's why you see the sort of the human figure enveloped in the genie flames And the idea is to do a series. So this is bound to the elements fire, then we're going to do water, earth, and air.
Artem, you want to try again?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, nice. So I fixed it. Okay. I wanted to ask about, you mentioned, I think, that this Euroni is abyssal host or something. Is it like part of it, or there will be any other factions that are part of abyssal host, or they're literally like the host?
No, this is what is left of the abyssal host.
Left. Okay. So okay, cool. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Kang?
Yeah, I've got another lore question. Considering the Euroni, you spoke about villages popping up and things like that, and them being mostly amicable because it's a personal enlightenment and everything. When are we going to start seeing like lore stories? Are we going to start seeing them now? Or...
Yes. The problem we had with the lore stories is you'd be able to tell immediately.
Right.
So we kept mum on them. Yes, there's going to be lore stories. There's going to be art to help you guys place them in the world and understand how they interact.
Okay.
Yeah, Euroni, just
one-
to interject there, Kang, for a second. Euroni will have programs and another happy hour with a video as well. We have stories planned for every other week right up until the launch in March. So there's going to be a lot of Euroni content. It's all ready. We just didn't obviously want to. We worked hard to keep the ninth faction secret, so we didn't want to ruin it early.
Oh, you guys definitely did, and I love it. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, you'll see a lot more Euroni stuff coming now that it's out. Now that the genie is out of the bottle, don't worry. We're gonna hit you often and hard with Euroni content. Cody?
Yeah, I had a question for Leo. I think it was in the last happy hour you talked about there being a cadence of 3 times a year that kind of balance the game, and I believe one was January. Is the Monday update that you're talking about, is that going to be part of that balance update, and will the terrain changes be on there also?
Hey, so yeah, we said that there are going to be updates in general 3 times a year. So not everything is a larger balance update, but you're very right. I forgot to mention that the terrain layouts and suggestions will be there. Yes. So to answer that, and then of course, the January for this update, we're having all of the timings, the quality of life stuff, another faction rework, an entirely new faction. So it's a big. It's a big, let's say, thing. But we're only gonna see minor things, really minor things. We're talking about 1 or 2 things. First of all, to do the changes from Vanguard to Vanguard X. So there is going to be a few tweaks there, but and tiny things that we wanted to adjust. But as we said before, every time we're doing updates, we're going to have them targeted. So we don't want to be doing super big like blanket updates. We want to keep things as focused as possible, so people, they don't feel like their factions are changing too fast. But yeah, definitely you're going to see terrain suggestions in there as well, and keywords and all the like we said.
Okay, thank you. And I know Daryl so kindly leaked that the Dwagom are going to be the next rework. How many do you think? How many reworks?
What did I do?
The last happy hour.
You did, Daryl. You did.
Damn it. Sorry. I was just wondering if that's the only other rework we'll see this year.
No.
No.
Oh God, no. Leo
But that'll be the
does
one
not
for
look
April.
that pasty and stressed because he's having a fun time.
Listen, man. I haven't seen the light of the sun in about 4 months. Probably going to be another couple of years. So I'm being fed in the basement. We'll figure it out.
We let him out for walks.
Leo has had a hard year. So I think we talked about the starter set, the supercharged starter set coming from 100 Kingdoms. in January. Here is your Spires Supercharged starter set for February. Your Dwagome Supercharged starter set for February. Your Nords Supercharged starter set for February.
You notice that we keep on changing these to make them valuable to you guys, not making you rebuy the same units over and over and over again.
Correct. And compatible with the 5th anniversary starters that we've just released last year. And those are going to stay available for a little while longer because we do see that by adding 1 and 1, you kind of get 3. Here's your Old Dominion set.
Yeah,
Also February.
I want to second. what that as well. We've really tried to make things, for you to not feel that you have to get the same stuff again between the starters or even the armies or even other packs, right? And so we're always trying to make them as great places to start your collection. So if you're new to the game and you're wondering where to start, these are just incredible to get you going and get you started. And you will make sure that you're never going to feel like you have to get a bunch of duplicates in next player or if you find the one before it.
That's the goal. Rodney, there will be new stuff for each faction. You weren't necessarily going to see them all here, but we have other happy hours still to come. And we do 3 catalog launches a year. So it's fair to say that if you didn't see your faction here, don't panic. I mean, I can confirm that Birmingham has no sun, at least every time I've been there. The future of the Conquest tournament, a miniature of the Ironi. I'm not sure I understand that question, Samuel. Are you asking, will Ironi be available for tournament play at like EOS? The answer is yes.
No, I think he's talking about one of the preview characters that we have, the one that has the Naginata.
The Kitsune?
No.
The emissary. I think he's referring to the emissary.
No.
I don't still follow. Maybe you can answer the question if you're getting it.
I think he's referring to the quiet. I'm sorry, still COVID. But I think he's referring to the.
The OP kit model that we had.
Yes,
on.
thank you. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yes. Oh, yeah. That's not from the Ironi. So that's a completely different animal.
Yeah, the Han and the Ironi are completely different. I saw a lot of speculation about that on the Discord. I was keeping my mouth shut.
I didn't follow where he was going with that. Sorry about that. The Ironi do not get command cards, Bronco. They get the ideal cards that we talked about earlier. Could I scroll up a second to the Old Dominion list? Yes, I can do that. And login or Logan. I guess it would be Logan, although it looks like login. Sorry about that. If you would be so kind as to ask your question while I'm scrolling.
Yeah, sure. Well, 2 things. First of all, I do really like the idea of not repeating the miniatures in the sets again and again and again. I really like that. And the other question is regarding the new 100 Kingdom Supercharged set, because I saw it up on the shop, but not the for pre-order, but not the new sets for the Man-at-Arms / Crusaders. And I was wondering if that is intentional or if it's for some other reason like that, because it felt like a pre-release box, which kind of made my stomach ache a bit. It was confusing, which I would like to ask if that was by design or by some other reason.
They are going to be available separately. They're going to come in March, so they will be part of the March schedule. And I think we went through it earlier on the screen, but they are part of the March release schedule. They'll come first in the 1-player starter, and then I think the release date is March 28th off the top of my head.
So that's a pre-release box by design?
Yep.
Okay.
The goal there was basically we would get yelled at so hard if we told people, here's your 1-player box. Oh, by the way, here's a completely new type of 100 Kingdoms you could have bought if you knew they were coming.
Right.
Okay, so it was a we're damned if you do, damned if we don't situation.
Yeah, I was just wondering why, so I thought I'd just ask.
Yeah, no. It honestly was a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah, probably. Well, thank you very much for answering.
Of course.
No worries.
Stavro, do you want to address the book of names that we are working on coming out.
Yes, guys. The truth is, the Book of Names has fallen a little bit behind. We've got the entries. The issue that we run into is with the factions, the RPG, and a number of other things coming up. We're short on art, which is very critical for doing this well. So we have not forgotten it. It is happening. Everybody's performance is recorded. It's just a matter of finding the spare time to do this. We want to do it well. We don't want to half-ass it. So we'd rather we took our time and did it well than give you something that's just meh.
Indeed. Did I get everybody's questions here? I think I did. Mike, you have a question? Mike Miller? Nope, I guess not. Kev Francis, do you have a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Cool. Hey, guys. Great job so far. One question about the one-player starter sets. So you've mentioned that kind of intentionally you didn't want to duplicate miniatures from previous starter sets. But in the Drakehome one, looks like there's 2 sets of Fireforged. And they were also in the Supercharged set and the set before that. So could that be a sign maybe that some of the other mainstay units like the Ballista or the Warriors are getting redone this year?
They don't miss a trick, these gamers, do they?
Maybe.
Try so hard. I will say that you know, live, they are good. All right, we're going to move on, Kev. I really appreciate you asking that question.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Aaron, you have a question? Aaron? Aaron?
You hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, sorry. Was there a Sorcerer's Kings one-player starter set? Or was I not paying attention when it was shown?
Nope, you know what? I hadn't gotten that far yet. And then we got asking questions. Hold on, let me go to the Sorcerer Kings. There is a new Sorcerer Kings one-player starter set too, yes.
That's a great-looking starter set.
Thank you. Let's see. I think we got that. And then, no, William, you have a question.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Oh, Bill. Sorry, I didn't even look at the last name yet. Hello, Bill.
Oh, yep, it's me. So, quick question regarding the 2-player starter set, specifically the Wadrone half. Is the Winglord Predator going to get a rules rework to allow him to be the Warlord, or is there something I'm missing from the box?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I didn't see anything in the app that would indicate that. So, awesome. Thanks.
And Mike Miller, you have another question. Please go ahead.
Yes. First off, fantastic work on the sculpt for the Yoroni. Couple quick questions. First off, I think I'm definitely excited with the possibility to see these all painted at Adepticon this year. Is that a possibility?
I will say you will see
because otherwise we're not going to have boxes for you guys.
You will definitely see most, if not all of them, in Adepticon. Yes, and they
All
will
right.
be for sale at Adepticon too. That's been asked a lot, and I keep forgetting to answer the question. They are.
Excellent.
They will be for sale at Adepticon, including the 2-player starter.
Excellent. That was my second question. But yeah, excellent job on this. I can't wait for something that will be definitely easy to transport.
It'll be fun. Rodney, great question. They are exactly the same price, $159.99, and I want to make the point that we have not had any price increases on any product from 24 to 25. Happy New Year, everybody. Gang?
Yeah,
follow
I
that
wanted
up.
to add-
Follow up that point, Kang.
I think the Quaddle could fit in the regiment box. But that's fine. That's just my opinion. Anyway, the question about Adepticon. Are you guys gonna like pre-sale a little bit early so somebody could like order it, go to the con, pick it up, and then get it ready for the tournament the next day?
We don't have the ability to do that. As you know, at every con, we partner with a retailer, an FLGS. So we would not be able to do that, but there will be product available for sale there with our retail partner at Adepticon, and you will certainly. I mean, you will. We should. I mean, barring the irregularities of occasional delivery vehicles. Should anything that is pre-ordered should land by the March 28th release date that is also Adepticon.
I just wanted to ask for all those enterprising hobbyists that may want to show up to Adepticon and be the first.
Yep. Totally get it. Joan, there will be a Euroni one-player starter in October. And I'll bring that up in just a second. And then there will be a First Blood Euroni cohort, which I'm going to show you in just a second, which will be in June. That one's coming in April. And then the other First Blood cohorts for the other 8 factions will be in June. So there will be, and the one-player starter will come in October for the Euroni, at which point the 2-player starter will disappear. We want the 2-player starter and the 1-player starter to also have different elements, some of which will come out later in the year. Thus, the reason we're not doing both at the same time. And here is the 2-player starter again. You've already seen that image, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. And here's the cohort. So this is what will come in, what will be a out-of-the-box playable First Blood cohort. So that is going to be a new war band, if you will, but we're calling it a cohort. It'll be $99.99. It'll be, I think, Evan, you said it was 990 points, so roughly 1,000 points.
It is specifically designed to be playable out of the box, so you don't need to do a lot of adjustments there. So you just bring this army and you're ready to play First Blood.
Yep, that's the goal. And that will be out in April 28th, I believe is the date, if I remember correctly. Yeah, John, it does. I mean, there's a lot there for $99. It's an almost 50% discount as well. So, we're working hard to bring value in 2025, as well as what we think are some pretty darn cool models. Logan. I keep doing that. I'm sorry. I can't help but see Login.
It's called Login.
It is called Login. All right, because I felt bad.
Yeah. I just was wondering when you were talking about the Adepticon if the 2-player starter set would also be available at the Tactica in Hamburg.
When is Tactica? Remind me the date?
It'll be at the end of February.
Oh, end of February? No. At the end of February 28th, again, doing these dates off the top of my head, so it might be off a day or two. The last Friday of each month, let me say it that way, are the release dates, and what would be available then would be the Kitsune limited edition preview.
Okay.
That's the only Euroni piece that will be available in February.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And then you guys asked about some of the things coming up. There's 3 Euroni we don't have pictures for yet, as you are already aware of at least 2 of them. And then some Wadroon stuff, because, again, Euroni and Wadroon. Models so big, well, I couldn't make that rhyme. Sorry, I didn't plan that one ahead, so I screwed that one up. I'm sorry. That was terrible. I tried to come up with something clever, and it didn't work. Yes, Scion of War will be coming, Chosen of War, and the Scion of Death. The Scion of War will be a brute-sized character, yes, to answer your question, Robert. Wow, you guys are quick. And it will be an artisan series as well, all in resin, a very deluxe version, if you will. Johan, you have a question.
When will the Bound to Elements Sorcerer King model actually release, the limited edition?
I think it's February as well. Again, I'm not looking at the schedule off the top of my head, but if somebody has the schedule in front of them and can tell this.
Sorcerer King's Founders is February.
February, okay, great. There have been many dates thrown in my head in the last 24 hours, so I think I have the most of them straight, but We've been working hard to get as many things out as early as possible. I think it is fair to say that the entire team has challenged themselves and been challenged to come out with a really killer 2025 opening lineup. The first quarter and the first 4 to 5 months really are loaded. We do have more surprises than we haven't even talked about yet. So this isn't even it. But this is the end of the catalog. This is the end of the presentation. This is a good time for final Q&A. If anybody has anything they want to ask, please do.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you everyone so much for joining us and hopping on Twitch. We had, for the first time, over 1,000 viewers on Twitch alone. And, I remember back on our Old Dominion announcement happy hour where we broke 400 and broke Google Meet. So thank you so much for growing with us.
Yeah, well said, Joey. Thank you indeed.
Well said indeed.
It's been a lot of fun to bring this to you guys. I think yesterday when we were doing the walkthrough, there was nervous anticipation because we all knew that we had built pretty high stakes in keeping it a secret. So we're pretty happy about that. I know there were a few questions I want to go back and answer, and then Adrian and Carlos, I won't forget you. There is terrain being worked on for Wadroon and the Aroni. That will be part of the campaign pack, the lore campaign kit that will come out in June. Those will be STLs like all the other ones that we've done. And I know that means there's still a couple that remain. We're working on those too, so don't panic. They will come in 2025 as well. Just give us a little time. We're working on it. The RPG is still being worked on. It is not lost. It is not forgotten. It is definitely a big Con is nodding his head because he is very, very knee deep in wordsmithing. Is that fair?
Neck deep.
Neck deep. Fair enough. So I think I answered your question.
We mentioned the other book.
We hinted at it, but we'll save that for another happy hour because we need new things to keep people coming back to we break the 1,000 mark with a 1,200 mark on that one. There will be a one-player box for the Aroni, a one-player starter box. As I mentioned earlier, that'll come in October when the two-player set will go away. So everyone that's paying attention, that means there will not be a two-player set at Christmas for this one. So you'll want to plan ahead. That one will go away in September. We'll probably have it finish at Essen to answer that question for somebody that I know will answer it. I think I told you Spire Terrain will come, but not in June. That will come a little later. Anything centered on campaign books, specifically, we answered that one, I think, kind of, by not answering it. And then TTRPG we've answered. There was one more thing. Fish gnomes. Somebody asked me about the red and the green fish gnomes. We have started to get, we announced at Christmas time some of the surprises. And one of them, of course, the green fish gnome is a trip to Hios. For somebody who wants to come and watch the championship, not play in the championship unless they happen to also qualify for it, but at least come and be a celebrity judge, if you will. So we've already named you a celebrity, whether you like it or not, and do some painting with Demo and have some barbecue from Stavro and some, well, I was going to say beer with Leo, but he'll drink Blue Moon, so that won't be very authentically Greek. So I don't know. I will figure something out for you there. But at any rate, we have had a really nice response to the Murderous Fish Gnome Series 1. We've had some turned in already. Some of the other prizes, a 2,000-point army for everyone who finds a red. I'm going to do these off the top of my head, so I'm sure I'm not right. But I think the Spires was a 2,000-point army. The 100 Kingdoms was a Founders exclusive. The City States was a one-player starter, and I do not remember what the Old Dominion was, so forgive me for that. But we've already had some turned in, and people are, I think, pretty fired up about it. You don't already have to have had one to get your bounty. Whenever you find one, the bounty is there. So it is not like where if you've left the building after the names have been called for a raffle. Nope. Whenever you find the Murderous Fish Gnome, you turn him in and you'll claim your bounty whenever that may occur. And I think I'll let Adrian go first with his question.
Yes, one quick question. But first, thanks for this happy hour. It's quite exciting to see a faction inspired by Japanese mythos. It's not something you see every day. As for the question, in the past, there have been a few mentions about some official STLs for alternate bids for miniatures, such as non-pyramidical whole sets for Ashen Dawn. I was wondering if that's still a plan, or if you guys are going in some other direction in that regard.
We want to do it, but it always, like, I hate that I sound like a repeating megaphone, but it comes down to resources. We have a plan to do it. Hopefully, we don't need those resources for some other harebrained plot, like, a large fraction of medieval demon samurai yoroni yaokai. Something always comes up. It's high on the list, but it's not super high. Unfortunately, product comes first, and we're the little guy trying to keep up with the titans, so it's tight.
And as I'm just happy to hear it's still something.
Oh no, it hasn't been abandoned.
Yeah, that's good enough for me. Again, thank you for the Happy Hour, like always.
It's our pleasure. Thank you. Carlos, you were next.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, perfect. First of all, wonderful happy hour. I mean, I am really excited about this new couple of new faction, new range of miniature. Everything is really exciting for me as a store. Now I have to ask, Daryl.
Yes, sir.
How long do we? I have to expect the pictures in HD to show to my customers.
So, in the interest of full disclosure, we finalized them at about 2:42 today in the afternoon. So I did not get to do the folder so that they would be ready for you at the minute the happy hour ended. But give me a couple hours. We'll get it done tonight at some point, and you'll have photos to be able to show people.
No problem. Is 1650 right here in Peru, so I have right in the middle of the afternoon.
Yep. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, for sure they will be there.
Excellent. For the Yoroni, yeah, I say my body was ready, but not my wallet.
Understood. Login.
Yeah, well, thank you from my side as well. I was wondering if there are any other companion books are planned, like to kind of sum up the lore in a collectible way. I mean,
they won't let us go with
things.
They will not let it go. They're gonna make me say something on a happy hour instead of saying it on a later happy hour, aren't they?
Okay, thank you.
All right, yes, we're gonna do one. Leave us alone. It's coming, I promise. Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, just a follow-up question as far as, literature and catalogs. Will the catalog be available pretty soon to look at for everyone?
Yep, it'll be on the Flip Snack. For those of you, some clever Vanguards have already known how to hack my Flip Snack account, where I normally post it for people to flip through. But again, like I was just saying to Carlos, give me a few minutes after this, and we will post it there, and you guys can flip through it to your heart's content.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Kang?
Yeah, just one question. It's about dinosaurs. How's that Apex Founders coming along? The special
It's
one.
coming along.
A later happy hour, Kang. A later happy hour. I cannot give you guys
Alright.
everything for the year.
Oh, come on. I need my fifth one.
You'll get it. Don't worry. It's coming. Do you still have your hand up, Mike? I don't know if you have another question. Nope. Tabletop Eiffel, you have a question.
Okay, two questions. First, can we expect to see this year for Spire the Brute variants for the Biomancer and the Ferromancer? Maybe? Or is it in the longer run for the next years? Or Okay, no reaction. I see. And the next question is, can we expect, the last time you had cards for game modes? Do we get again like new game modes? Because there was a question for submit game modes for playing.
We have a goal. We have a goal of giving you guys. We're trying to figure out how to time it, but we have a goal of doing a new scenario. If we're probably not going to be able to do a new scenario a month, but to do it every 2 or 3 months to give you guys a new scenario to keep things fresh, and see if we can increase that frequency for more specific things.
Okay, because in our Vanguard we enjoyed a lot like the 2-player scenarios and the 3-player scenarios. They are not totally balanced, but they are a lot of fun to play. Like
that's the intent. I mean, you can't balance everything, and you take out the joy of life. So some things are just meant to be fun. House rule them. You know, the moment it's not a world event, just house rule it until it's fun for you guys, until it scratches your itch.
Okay, yeah, great, thanks.
John, question.
I'll just keep it brief since we're on the Dwecom page. Any teasers of like timeline or what y'all are thinking for the rework, or just any clues?
No.
Fair enough. I mean, Stavros, if you want to say
something to talk about in the future, gang.
You just give us a teaser.
Okay, there's going to be Dwegom in it, and like they'll probably clash at some point. There might be magic or something. There you go. That's what you got.
And it will be a warmer month than it is right now, at least in the northern hemisphere. How about that? I'll be wearing a t-shirt and not shaking because I'm cold.
But we've actually given most of the information you need.
Yeah, I think you pretty well know. Any other questions before we wrap this up at 2 hours long, but a beautiful 2 hours, lovely questions, such nice camaraderie. Thank you everyone for joining. And do look for a future thing. Oh, Jordan, you have a question, or that was a...
Oh, has the green gnome been found?
I got to look at that. I'm not sure the answer to that question.
All right, that's it.
Beard?
So, yeah, just a quick question with lore books. Will there be also audiobook versions on Audible or?
Oh my word!
You just stopped the ante, didn't you?
I'm sorry.
It is a lovely idea.
Noted.
And I think it is something we definitely have discussed, and we're interviewing to see, if a famous actor might be available to do the verbiage for us.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for that.
I'm kidding about the famous actor part. Stavro just had a heart attack. He's like, what are you talking about? Joey, you have a question from, I'm guessing, Twitch?
Well, actually, I might have missed it talking to people. Did you show the cohort and talk about the new cohort?
But I can put it back up.
Oh, perfect. So this will be an example of what we're doing with First Blood starters in the future.
Correct.
Some people missed that. Thank you.
Yep, this is the Euroni cohort. 99.99, as I forget who it was that used to say it like that, but a lot of value, 990 to 1,000 points, ready to go, tournament play, First Blood army out of the box. Yeah, Leo, it is a bit of a relief to be able to put this out here for sure. Tabletop Eiffel.
How about you let 2+ Tough speak in the audiobooks? He's
that's a
great
good one.
YouTuber, it would be great.
Doug has a beautiful voice. That's a beautiful.
He has an obnoxiously beautiful voice, doesn't he?
He really does. Yeah, no.
Totally.
You're exactly right. Doug probably is listening to this too and is hanging his head, ready to shoot me with that one. But he does have a beautiful voice, and I appreciate you volunteering him. And I hope, Doug, if you are listening, you automatically email me and say yes. So know that would be a lovely thing for you to do. Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering if there's any chance of two-player kits for First Blood like we used to have, or are we just going to stick with the single one?
We'll have the 1-2-player kit. Yeah, I think we've learned that with the 2-player sets, because of the size of the armies that come in each one, they work really well for both play styles. You do get both the bases and the stands in any of the 2-player sets, so you can play them either way anyways. So I think, essentially everything we sell is available and ready to go for First Blood or for TLA-OK regardless. So for example, the cohorts, they will come with the stands, so that if at some point you decide to play TLA-OK, even if it's designed as a tournament-ready First Blood set, it still is ready to go for TLA-OK at any time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kang.
This is the last question for me. I've spent too long over here. But now that we know Faction 9 and y'all are trying to escape away, I just have one final question. What is Faction 10?
I can't hear you, Kang. You're breaking up, buddy. You must have a bad line. I hear static.
I mean, if you're going to go for broke,
everybody.
you're going to go, well, I might as well ask for like 13, 14, 15. Like, just go for it.
It's called Faction 10.
It's called Faction 10.
Yeah.
It's called X.
Ooh.
X.
Wait, no, not X.
Oh.
Oh, well, that already exists, doesn't it? Yeah, I guess we can't call it X.
It's Faction 10, and everyone wants it the same way everyone wanted Faction 9. It's
And
going
they
to
didn't
make
even
everyone
know what it
happy.
was. So exciting stuff coming. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Tabletop Eiffel. You got in just under the wire.
Last question. Can we expect to get again like a voting for the Sorcerer Kings? Will it happen again? Will we get a voting again?
I never say never. I think right now we've got some plans that we've put into place. And as you probably gather with the Aroni to get all of this ready, it does take some time. And the voting, if we were to vote, it would be a longer life cycle in terms of getting as thorough and ready an assortment together. But I would say we do enjoy that part of that experience. So, yeah, I think, and that's why the Living World, every 2 weeks, pretty much you get to vote on something. For us, it is important that the community is involved. And to answer Rodney's question, the next happy hour is early February. Date still to be determined, but stay tuned, kids, to the blogosphere or the interwebs or any of your other favorite fax machines that you have standing by to get the latest news. We'll be sending it out, I promise. So thank you, everyone. Best wishes for your evening. And thanks for all your support around the Aroni. We look forward to seeing it on tables very soon. And I can say that I've been seeing all of you that have ordered already. Thank you very much for that as well. We are very grateful for your support. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Have a good night.
Rules are in
Happy
Discord.
Faction.
Rules
Rules
are
are in
now
Discord. Awesome.
Rules are in Discord. Very good. Thanks, Leo.
Take care, everybody.